Thank you for staying with us. So with more jobs and businesses going digital, Nigeria's digital economy space has recorded over $4.4 billion investment as a result of strategic collaborations and programs. This was a statement made by the Director General, National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inuwa. As part of improving the digital economy of the country, President Bola Tinubu on the 14th of June signed the Data Protection Act 2023 into law to further enhance and protect the personal information of citizens. This is a policy that is set to also advance privacy rights of the over 200 million Nigerians and grant access to fundamental freedom in the cyberspace, while providing jobs to about 500,000 citizens in the country. Well, joining us in the studio to talk more on this is the CEO, Soft City Group, and a seasoned technology expert, Stephen Adetutu Oniya. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, for years, Nigeria has made persistent effort at addressing matters of data protection. But with the signing into law of this Data Protection Act 2023, how far would that bring us to what we have been trying to achieve over the years?
Okay, without missing word and giving you a direct response to that, it will accelerate our traction to growth and achieving value. No mistaking about that. Because a data protection law gives value to our data, not even maybe governance now, our data. It lets us understand our right, it clearly identifies the stakeholders, and it gives value, letting you know what you can achieve with your rights in regards to your personal data. And there's no rocket science about that. You could find this in the landmark settlement by Meta with the Facebook breach in this relation with Cambridge Analytica. The settlement was worth $725 million this year. And what could make that kind of settlement of that significant proportion is because there are laws that have given value to data. You see, for those of us in practice of computing, we define information with different characteristics. For example, you hear intrinsic value of information, business value of information, economic value of information, performance value of information. You see, this law basically just aggregates all this value in legal terms and make them enforceable. Basically, that's it.
There was a regulation before this one, and experts like yourself weighed the lapses in the previous data protection regulation, and now this. But how best does this law, satisfy the yearnings of Nigerians? What makes it laudable from your assessment?
Okay, you referenced the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation of 2019. I believe that's what you referenced. And first, a regulation like NDPR and a law like the one we have 2023, they are within different contexts, but they may have the same approach. They're not the same. And let me just reference, there was a public interest lawsuit at the ECOWAS court by a non-governmental organization that took Nigeria to court because Nigeria is signed the supplementary act of the ECOWAS, which has to do with privacy of data. And so the concept of privacy is not new. Now, ECOWAS have been making attempts. So the government have been making effort to implement frameworks, regulations, and policies. So that was in 2021, after the regulation. Then in 2023, we now have the law. Now, for someone like me, because in practice of computing, we get to deal with end users, maybe SMEs, mid-level market, and enterprise. And we understand the sentiment. A data privacy law might not be as much value if the individuals does not understand and value what the law means to them. If you don't understand, because the concept of data privacy, yes, we have a privacy commission in Nigerian Data Privacy Commission, or Data Protection Commission, if I get that's Mr. Vincent Olatunji. Now, so we have that commission overseeing this bill. So in a sense, we are people who are proactive about ensuring that your rights are not infringed upon. Like somehow you hear him make statement about the social media collection by the CBN. Now, to you as a common man, if you are not conscious of what these rights mean to you, well, these laws might just be another garbage. Because to enforce the law, you need to demand your rights. And to demand your rights means you know your rights. So on a very high level, there's this consciousness about this law. Until we make enough awareness, we create enough awareness that you and I, the market seller on the road, knows that, see, this my data now has value. This is my phone number, my email that you're always asking me for. It now has value, and I know my right. Until we do that, there will be very little impact when it comes to value to the common man.
Now, you've been speaking about value. If you could expatiate on what this value really means by means of creating awareness for our viewers, for them to understand what the value is with regards to their data, and also how they can use this law in their best interest.
Okay, all right, good. All right, first, so let me just give you a use case scenario of how data is actually used. Mostly, you have your data on your phone. It's just a backup device. You basically, but some way, somehow.
And this is messages.
Yes, your messages, your
information
Facebook
that I store.
information, yes. Now, there's a global competition on a very large scale for your attention. And you won't know that because there are huge amount in dollars going into millions competing to get your attention via online advertisement. Huge volume, competing to get your attention. And how they get to cluster you or profile you for the best kind of ad is based on your data. On your data. Now,
From the back end.
yes, from the back end. So you can see while you and I are seated here, there's some multi-million dollars changing hands because of my data and my attention. And basically, I'm just here. They're making the money, and I'm just here. So that's on the level. And another level is economic value, where you have businesses collecting your data so that they can be more efficient, they can be more productive, and they can provide you more value, more products, better services, whereby they make more profit. This is another scenario where businesses are now offering you, exchanging services to you. Now, you have the data. They have the platforms. So there was a research conducted by the Pew Research Center, and it was discovered that 81% of respondents actually said they think or they believe that the risk associated with their data in the hands of businesses far outweighs the benefits. That was the conclusion. And there was also another survey by Cisco Privacy Survey, in which 46% of respondents or consumers actually said they cannot sufficiently guarantee the protection of their data because they do not understand how those data is being used by these businesses. So, first and foremost, the value from data have technically not gotten to the point where the common man, who we could consider the origin of that data or the source of that data, can benefit as much as the platforms or businesses you let go those data to. So currently, the economic value of data is more significant than the personal value. But nevertheless, we know that we need to protect your privacy. Now, this law is a framework that helps organizations, platforms in Nigeria and overseas to be conscious the fact that you are currently if I can use the word milking individuals to make more money from the value associated with their intrinsic data, you need to be cautious on how you store, how you process, how you manage, how you secure, and how you return it when they demand for it. So basically, the value at this stage is a privacy protection, it's from a privacy protection context. Because I've seen people ask that, how can I make money from my personal data?
Absolutely.
Well,
Let's come to that after this break.
okay.
To stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We've been talking about Nigeria signing into law the Data Protection Act 2023. And we still have our guest in the studio, the CEO, Soft CT Group, and seasoned technology expert, Stephen Adetutu-Onia. Yes, before we went on the break, you were talking about how some Nigerians have asked you, how can they make money out of this act, so to speak? Because earlier I asked, so how can Nigerians use it in their best interest? Yes, talk to us.
Okay, but the law was not designed for you to make money.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it was not designed so you can make money. So the context I was trying to present was, how do you make money from your data, your personal data? The law, but if you look at it in a different context, considering what's been happening with similar laws and regulations overseas, well, anyone using Facebook from 2007 2023, or 22, I think, actually is entitled to a share of the $725 million settlement. Not in Nigeria. Don't get too excited. In the US. Don't get excited. All right. Now, technically, you could say they made some cash from their data by exploiting the laws governing their data.
Yes.
Now, that's not the first kind, if you have to dig into the law, the legal. Now, this law is not designed to help you make money. We need to be clear about that. And the law is just for you to know your rights and demand your rights. Now, could the possibility of similar class action lawsuit or settlement happen in Nigeria? But that would be left to the lawyers to help us answer. The possibility of we making that kind of money, or even lesser kind of money, is left to the legal professionals. But your data is oil. That's what the colloquial, the way we say it in technology, as it was in computing. The data is oil. But we've not gotten to the stage where that oil is your oil.
Nigeria.
Unfortunately,
Well,
again.
you were speaking earlier on about us being here and our data is being harnessed, by is it data controllers or processors, But it struck me. I just wanted to know whether, while that is going on, while these breaches are being done, am I to blame somewhat? Is there something that I may have triggered to expose myself to this kind of data breaches that now the new law will protect me from?
Okay. I like the way you put it, but I'm going to try and put it in a different context for proper understanding. I won't call that a breach. No, what I said is they are getting your attention, using your data to get to you, which is true. Now, in your personal information, there are some that are public data, and there are some that are private data, but they are your personal information. Now, I've heard the outcry after they heard the CBN demanded for social media handles. And the first thing that struck me, how many people have actually read the Facebook terms and conditions, or the Facebook privacy policy, or the Facebook data policy, or cookie policy? You know, those of us, you know, and those of us in practice, we know that, okay, wait a minute. According to Facebook policy, data policy, there are some data that will always remain public. And there are some that is within your control to make private or public. You understand? Like your Facebook name, your Facebook username, your profile picture, they are always public. It's a personal information, we can technically, but they're always public. But maybe your posts, your images, your videos, well, it's your choice to make them public. It's your decision. Now, why I said it's not a breach is what is being used to target you for this multi-million-dollar advertorial network. It's your public data. Nobody's getting into your private data. Nobody. And it's also your choice to leave yourself vulnerable to online tracking. Because the truth is there are tools that could help you prevent being tracked and being profiled for specific kind of ads. So it's your choice. You chose to make something public. So that's why I said it's not a breach. It's not a breach. Now, if you ask about this law, I think this law is a stepping stone and not on a very personal, individual level, for a governance framework, a national decision to be able to carefully make demands on these platforms and help us control and manage how our data are being technically exploited. So it's not a breach in its sense because, you know...
So there's a positive to it for the other party.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are your concerns? Do you have concerns with this law? Because one thing that Nigerians have often said is we're good at having laws, but implementation is usually a challenge. What do you see that could hinder the effective utilization of this law?
Okay. Before I mention the concern, I'll mention the good ones.
Okay.
Because one thing very good about this law is the independence of the commission.
Okay.
Because it was clearly defined that there will be an independent commission, and also the commissions is saddled to evolve the regulation. Because we all know data the way it is today was not the way it is years ago for those who was in practice. So it's evolved. And privacy has become a concern. And for those of us who know the trend, we can easily predict that the future will be a concern on data sovereignty. It will get to that conversation sooner or later. So now the challenge I have with this law is what are the strategies or provisions to make everyone know their rights?
Okay.
That's the first thing. Yes, it's a protection regulation. There's a commission that might do all this eventually. People of different caliber have different understanding of the rights when it comes to data. You understand? They have different, and this is not a Nigerian problem. It's a global problem, but they've been well equipped and sensitized outside Nigeria so much that they could initiate a class action suit against Meta, knowing that we know our rights.
Yeah.
Now, here, we're still in a country where people will call you and say, you got an OTP code, send it to us.
Yes.
Scammers. People are still sending that kind of OTP code. We are still in a country where there are duplicate social media profiles for a public personality, even when the personality is conscious. Like, I'm not the one that owns all this profile. And there are so many.
Not their fan bases.
So first is to make a law effective, because the essence of a regulation is to impact the common man. You understand? So we need to know our rights. Because this data we are playing with is not the regular Nigerian context policy or framework that we are looking at. You know, some people don't know the right with the police, and they get to be overridden. You understand? Some people. You see, these waters we are playing in is a global waters. You understand? It's not a Nigerian thing. This data we're talking about, in short, is not even the biggest corporate and not even the big enterprise in Nigeria. So we need to know our rights. We need to know where we stand as a common. Everybody needs to know the value of my personal information. And to some extent, this social media undo collection, I kind of like the fact that everybody gave it this outcry.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's justified. Because if we have to discuss the technicality of these demand by CBN and we trace it properly, you would know that, well, the outcry is good, meaning people are now conscious. No, it's my personal data, it's my social handle. Why would you ask me? It's an abuse of my privacy. It shows people are
conscious.
And maybe because it's coming immediately, a short while after the data protection was signed into law, you understand? Maybe people are now, okay, that point, so they're conscious, because I'm wondering if that happened like 20 years ago. People have been able to react like this. But nevertheless, the law is good for us. It is good for us.
You seem to have a very unique position on the independence of the Act, or the independence that
Of the
Act,
Commission.
Yes, that the Act gives to the Commission, because some analysts say that is also questionable. The role of the President, I think he has to confirm the appointment of the National Commissioner, and then there are periodic proposals that, you know, the council, governing council, needs to submit to the Minister of Communications, who will be the supervisory body. And people have said, is that healthy, you know, for
Is
government?
that still independence?
Is that, can we still call that independence?
I'm quite happy you've given me an opportunity to discuss this concept of independence. I'm wondering what the analysts want to see. Maybe they want a technology ecosystem that functions outside the command structure.
Perhaps.
That's why I keep asking myself, okay, is it like you want a technology ecosystem that functions outside the command structure?
And is that realistic?
It's not realistic. It's not in any way realistic.
Even in...
Oh, it's overseas. It's not. Yes, it's not. They're asking for a very unrealistic. We are a sovereign country.
Are there implications?
If outside the command structures. I'm going to give you the two scenarios based on my understanding. Now, we are a sovereign country with a sovereign territory. That we have our right to our territorial integrity. That's what we are. And in the midst of every people, there's always someone that leads us. And that's not because of democracy. That's how it's been since biblical times. There's always a leader. So, to God be the glory. Our leader today is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's our leader. Now, first and foremost, let's say we want to listen to them. It's okay. Let's take the president. Don't get involved in data privacy. Okay. Then we also have ministries that seem to coordinate things. So we said, no, ministers don't get involved. So what they're asking is a system that functions outside the command structure. So let's assume we give that to them. And we now have a data commissioner with people. Now, he is not the one saddled with decision making. He's not governance. He's not backed up by the instrument of government. He's not. So when a Facebook decide, no, I don't want to use a brand, and a brand decide to profile all our data because they have it in their hands, or to hijack all our data and abuse our data sovereignty, please, is it the data commissioner that would wield the power of governance? Is it the one that will go to the United Nations? Is it the one that will go to ECOWAS? Is it the one that will make a appeal or make a call to a diplomat in the other country? Is it the one that will arrange it? Is it the commissioner that will do that? So the thought, the very thought of expecting a technology ecosystem functioning outside the command structure just shows a poor understanding on the part of the analyst. It's a very poor understanding.
So what
now,
then is the independence?
So the problem they have now is influence. Influence.
That the government...
Yes, good. So That is the problem. So the problem they should have is not independence. They shouldn't. The problem is, okay, we have influences from government. So, and when I've been on shows to discuss similar matters, and what I say is, now, if this is not the problem you have, then it boils down to an issue of trust and bias. And I'm one of those that advocate. The kind of a leader people have reflects the kind of people they are.
System.
Yes. So if you, as a people, arrive at a kind of leadership, you need to trust whatever you've all decided to put in your leadership. And I'm not being biased here. The kind of a people, we are the kind of the leader we have, because that is what we all do to put them there. Now, the problem I'm having is you can't expect a commission to just function without being under command in the command structure.
So what then is the independence that you mentioned?
Good. Thank you for that. You see, this Nigerian Data Protection Bill that was enacted didn't start in 2023.
Oh, of course not.
Good. So there was the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation in 2019. There was the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau in 2022 by President Muhammadu Buhari, that is. And now there's the law.
And then there's a commission.
And now there's the commission. You can see data in itself is an evolving asset, because everybody now is screaming data privacy. Well, for those of us that have been in privacy years, in computing years, many years ago, we knew there was nothing like, we're not concerned about data privacy. The first thing, we first recognized data as an asset. When platforms started building platforms, oh, there's something called this data. It's now becoming, then we moved into the big data era, where we are now becoming very conscious of the volume of data, structured and unstructured data being generated every second on all these platforms. Then we now started getting concerned about data privacy. And some of us know it's a matter of time before we start talking data sovereignty. So the data itself is an evolving asset. So for me, an independent commission is saddled to evolve the regulation pursue the trend of data. Because there's a uniqueness at every phase of data. Even Facebook keeps updating their privacy policy because they know data is changing. The realities are changing. So that independence, and this bill was actually a process of a job done by the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau.
All right.
This didn't start today. So they've been working. So this evolution got them here. You understand? So, but nevertheless, at any point, they feel a need to do something significant or take an action. They need to go to the commander, like I expressed in the command structure, and you say, okay. And you say, okay, go ahead, because we can't leave an island of data regulation and just say, do as you like, because that means we've saddled that command to that commissioner. So what is your trust in that commissioner? When you say you can't trust him being verified, going through a command structure, going through the minister, because you have trust and you have bias, it's good to have. But there's this analogy I give everybody. Computed and technology, it's a business of trust. And why? When you want to go on Facebook, some of us don't read. Well, I read everything by virtue of my job. We just accept and we give them our data. If you can trust a platform, because you know you will get value, right? Some of us buy a new phone. Some of us don't even read that there's a terms and condition on that phone. We're not even bothered. Some of us don't even understand the technology. But we are confident to import all our personal data into the phone. What's that? You can't just trust. This phone, go fail me. You can't just trust. You see the element of trust in technology. We exchange information. So when they come about this influence, I understand as a result of experience with governance in the past. But you cannot remove the place of trust in business.
But who is in charge then? Where does the buck, end, so to speak, government or the national commissioner?
Okay, you see the way the command of all this commission and this works, they can't do anything without
each other.
Yes, it's a network. Governance is a network. You understand? I'm not a politician, and it's good for us to be objective when we're looking at issues. You understand?
Okay.
Because if you want to take the influence of presidency, take away the ministerial influence and leave the influence to the commissioner. Please, who controls the commissioner? What gives you that so much confidence in the commissioner that you can trust him?
In the principle of accountability.
So you trust the commissioner so much? I don't understand. Yeah.
Right now, you've been speaking about how this matter of data privacy protection is evolving to the level that we'll get to a point where we're looking at data sovereignty. Speak to us about that aspect and how close are we to that?
Okay. This is predictive intelligence.
Okay.
Based on clear understanding of the trend. For those of us who were in this practice, when this whole thing started and we know how it got there, it's rapid. I hope we'll talk about the influence of AI on this data. Now you see, if you look at us as a collective people, our data resides on our phones, on our PC, but if you look at us together, it's still a data of Nigerians. If you look at our attention being sought by foreign bodies with this multi-million-dollar advertorial network, it's still technically the attention of Nigerians. Well, respect to those that have gotten another citizenship and threw away the Nigerian passport. I'm still a Nigerian. And the identity I will carry anywhere I go is still Nigerian. So a time is coming. And I'm not making this up. It's already in discussion across experts across the world. Data residency and data sovereignty. You see, most of what you have on your phone, this data don't actually reside in Nigeria.
What I have on my phone?
Of course. You're on a server. Those servers are not in Nigeria.
Right.
In the cloud. Those servers are not in Nigeria. So most of your data residency principles, you assume, yes, I have a copy on my phone. We can call it the original copy. But eventually,
It's a duplicate.
That data is processed, sent, and collected somewhere else. And that place is not Nigeria. In most cases, it's not Nigeria. So we've been in international conferences and we discussed data residency and data sovereignty. It's not yet a major threat. You know, in the past, social media was not a threat. Social media was just a communication tool. It became a retail tool. It became a gathering tool. It later became it just keep evolving. And now it's now looking like a threat. People now use it to mobilize provocations, mobilize protests, use it to cause a bank to collapse because people are not given CBN a fair chance of explanation. I don't agree with collection of social media, Andrew, but I think they deserve a fair chance of explanation because this year, a bank collapsed based on the impact of social media. So, but that's the story. If we get there, we'll discuss it. So data sovereignty, whether we like it or not, we need to start discussing and preparing for it. It's just simple as that.
All right. Let us quickly spare some thought for the other side. We've spoken about government. We've spoken about us, regular users, so to speak. But then, does it also protect the other side, the data controllers? People have also said, how well is the law giving enough clarity on broad protections of both sides?
Is it fair enough to them?
Is it fair enough for them?
So let me answer this question from a very layman angle so that it won't be too complicated to comprehend by our viewers. You see, first and foremost, let's understand the concept of data protection and be able to differentiate it from data privacy. First and foremost. Data privacy are data you choose for no reason you're not going to share it with anybody, except maybe friends and family. For example, you got a diagnosis that's bad in the medical realm, in the medical healthcare. Very bad diagnosis. But you can give it to your husband, you can give it to your wife, you can give it to your son, but you won't share it with anybody. It's private data, very private. Now, data protection are data, they are private, but you are trying to determine who you hand it over to. I want value from this platform, take my data, give me value. I want value from a banking sector, take my data, give me value. So you are determining why you're giving your data. It's not because you don't want to share it at all. That's a subtle difference between data privacy and data protection. Very subtle difference. So now that brings me back to what you asked. Now that we understand the clear concept of data in terms of its privacy and its protection, now you hand it over. Now, you that are collecting my data, What are you trying to do with it? You want to give me value and make money. I'm going to give you a typical example. You see the exchange, right? If you go to a supermarket and you have your money, you want to give them money, and you want to collect a product or service, there's a rule that says customers are always right.
Right.
So who does that favor? It favors you and let them demand on them to give you value. So first and foremost, the concept of data privacy is not in itself designed to protect the person getting the value from that data. It's designed to protect the subject given that transaction wanting the value.
Okay.
In the basics.
And this is not any different.
It's not any different.
All right. We have to leave this conversation here now. Our time is up because I really would have loved for you to touch on proper handling of our data. In Nigeria, we hear that we do not do well with proper data management, how that comes into the mix of all of this, but we do not have that time, unfortunately. Stephen Adetutu Onia, CEO of Soft City Group, as well as technology expert. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks.